What's happening, everyone? My name is Alex and welcome back. So if you're looking for the absolute best pool robot cleaner, well, you basically have two options. On my right here you have the Aiper Scuba X1 Pro Max, and on my left here we have the Beatbot AquaSense 2 Ultra. So these are basically the best of the best. You're not gonna find anything better than these two machines. Now we're gonna start with the price. So it doesn't matter when you buy them, the Beatbot will always be more expensive. But is this one better considering that it is more expensive? Well, we are definitely gonna find out in today's video. So what do these pool robots do? Well, these two are basically gonna clean everything in your pool. So they're gonna clean the bottom of your pool. Talking about the bottom of your pool and suction power, basically because they need a lot of suction power so they can lift up anything that's at the bottom of the pool. The Aiper here has a suction power of 8,500 gallons per hour, where the Beatbot has a suction power of 5,500 gallons per hour. So the Aiper is more powerful, and actually later on I'm going to show you a little test that I've done with both of them cleaning the bottom of your pool. You will see that extra suction power definitely helps. These are also going to clean the walls of your swimming pool. So if you look at the bottom of each one, so this is our Beatbot, we have two massive brushes at the bottom there. Those basically scrub the walls, the floor and everything else. The same goes with the Aiper, so they both have these massive brushes at the bottom there. So those brushes basically spin while they're in the water, and they're scrubbing the floor, they're scrubbing the wall. These two will also do the waterline. The waterline is very important because typically, mostly with this pool here, the waterline doesn't look that great. That has a lot to do with the fact that the swimming pool is old and the previous owners didn't actually take care of it. But these will clean that waterline as well. And these two can also skim the water. So everything that's at the surface, these two will also clean. So that's why I said these are the ultimate pool robot cleaners. Another important factor for a pool robot cleaner is the battery life. So both devices last for about 5 hours if they're scrubbing the bottom of your pool, and for about 10 hours if they're skimming the top of your pool. So similar battery life. Now, for charging, they basically get these docks here. This is the dock that you get to the Beatbot. Now, this one actually has a couple of metal contacts here and a couple of metal contacts there on the dock. I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of charging system. I am a bigger fan of the charging system that we have on our Aiper. This one has a wireless charging system. The Aiper will also charge in about 4 hours, where the Beatbot will charge in about 4.5 hours. Now, that half an hour is not going to make a big difference, but I do prefer the wireless charging that we get from the Aiper. Another factor you may want to consider is the weight, and I have to say they're both pretty heavy. So whenever you're carrying these around, oh, they are pretty heavy indeed. Maybe the Aiper is a bit heavier. I'm going to actually check the weight on their websites and let you know the actual weight of each one. I know that Aiper offers something called the Aiper Caddy, so that makes moving the robot a bit easier. I'm not sure if the Beatbot offers something similar, but if they do, I highly recommend that you get that because they are pretty heavy to carry around. Moving on to the debris baskets and filtration. So the debris basket on the Beatbot is here at the top. This is how it looks. The one thing I don't really like about this is the fact that it doesn't have an opening at the bottom here. So it would be nice to have an opening here so you can just spray it with water. So this is the basket from the Beatbot, and this is the basket that we get with the Aiper. The Aiper basket does seem a bit bigger, I think. Yeah, definitely a bit bigger. So this one will be able to collect more. Plus you can actually change what filter you want. So I have the finer filter installed because this one is better for sand, dust and all that. So this one also opens right here at the bottom. I'm not going to open it right now because it has some stuff in it and I don't want everything to fall down. But basically the filter on the Aiper is a bit easier to clean because you can just spray it with water and everything falls down. Another thing the Aiper does better than the Beatbot has to do with the control underwater. Now, you do have to buy a different device for that. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's basically that Aiper Hydrocom probe that's in the water there. Basically, with that, you can actually control the robot underwater. Because what happens with these robots, as soon as they go underwater, they lose signal. So there is no way of calling them up or recalling them or making them change whatever cleaning cycle there is. So with the Aiper, if you do have that other device is actually very handy because it will measure what's in the water and all that. So I absolutely love that Aiper Hydrocom. But basically, if you have that other device, you can also control the robot underwater. I don't believe that Beatbot actually offers anything like that. As for warranty, they both offer 3 years warranty, and that is great because these machines are crazy expensive in my opinion. So at least you know that you are safe for at least 3 years. All right, so with that being said, next we are going to move on and do some testing. The first test will be cleaning the bottom of the pool. The second test will have to do with the skimming function. And the third test will have to do cleaning the water line. Now, because all these tests do take quite some time, I'm basically going to make a lot of cuts and I'll film on the spot there, but you'll get the idea. I'll do some time lapses as well. So let's start those tests. Alright, so we are gonna start our test with the Aiper. I also have some rocks and sand that I'm gonna drop in the pool, and I'm not sure if you can see all those leaves at the bottom there. About, I don't know, 12, 15 leaves, I'm gonna say. So I'll drop this in the water as well. I think I can actually do it now. So kind of like that. And next we're gonna drop our Aiper in. I'll do a hyperlapse of the robot cleaning and we'll let it clean for about an hour. Alright, so it's been about an hour now and I'm just about to take out the Aiper from the pool, but basically you can see that all the leaves, all the sand, all the rocks are all gone. I'm gonna show you inside the robot shortly. Alright, so I just took this out to check out the basket. Holy, yeah, there was definitely a lot of stuff in here. I'm not sure how well you can see, but basically the leaves, the rocks, sand, everything is in here. So I'm definitely gonna have to clean this. Look at that. That is crazy. And here is a closer look at all that sand that was picked up as well. So the basket is quite heavy with all this sand in it. So I'm gonna have to give it a good rinse. Alright, and it's time for our test with the Beatbot. Once again, we do have some leaves in the water, about the same as before. I also have my sand and rocks mix that will just drop in there. And we'll let this go for about an hour. Let's throw it in. And we'll see what happens after an hour. Alright, so it's been about an hour since the Beatbot started cleaning. Unfortunately, I see a lot of rocks, I see some leaves. This was not what I was expecting, really. It's still cleaning. I guess I could just let it be for another while. But I had the other one just for an hour as well, and I think I've only seen 3 little rocks in the water. So if you only have an hour and you want the pool to be cleaned, I believe that the Aiper does better. I mean, Look at all this stuff in the water here. I'm gonna put a GoPro in the water in just a second, just so you see from down there. But the Aiper definitely does way better. Maybe it has to do with that suction power, because it has more suction power. But yeah, I was definitely not expecting this after an hour. Okay, so I was watching the time lapse of the Beatbot cleaning the pool, the same time lapse that I filmed for the Aiper, and for some bizarre reason the robot seems to be moving in this area, like that way, this way, that way, this way. It only went around here like once or twice from what I've seen. So very bizarre behavior. So in conclusion, all that's at the bottom of the floor, the bottom of the pool. So now I'm gonna have to get this one in so I can clean all that, because the Beatbot clearly is just spinning in the same place. Like it's going that way, then that way. That is truly bizarre. I'm almost wondering if that's defective or something. I don't even know. So with that being said, I'm gonna put this in water. I'll remove that one, and basically I'll show you the pool in a bit. Ugh. Okay, so I took this one out. Funny enough, the Aiper went right over the little rocks there. Again, I'll let it clean for a bit, and then I'll show you how that looks. But I also wanted to show you the basket of this one and basically what's inside.
Filter basket not installed.
So yes, most of those leaves, aside from those ones, ended up in our basket here. And it seems that it went over that area with the rocks and sand once or twice or something, because you can clearly see some sand and rocks in there, but it didn't clean all of them. So that's the basket of this one. I'll have to clean this one as well. But in a bit I'll show you how the Aiper finishes all this. Okay, so it's been about half an hour, I'm gonna say. The Aiper is still cleaning, but basically all the sand, all the rocks are gone except for that leaf there. I'm sure that if I wait long enough it will go and get it, but at least all that sand is gone. So for this kind of cleaning performance, there is really no comparison between the Aiper and the Beatbot. The Aiper here does way better. I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that it has more suction power, but this is the clear winner for this part of the comparison. Okay, so we are starting our skimming test with the Aiper. Now, I do have some leaves everywhere in the pool, some flowers, there are more on that side there. So there are some leaves and stuff. So basically this becomes a skimmer by opening this little door here. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera. It's very sunny, I can barely see the screen. But basically it just moves at the top of the pool and everything kind of goes in there, if that makes sense. So of course after this happens for quite a while, everything will just end up in there. So it's a perfect day for a skimmer because it's not as windy. So I'll start a time lapse, we'll set a timer for an hour and see how well this has done. Alright, so it's been about an hour since we started the skimming process with the Aiper. So we have one leaf here and a couple more right here. It also got a bit windy now. So we have about 3 leaves left, which I guess is not bad at all. I'll also show you the basket and what's inside the basket. So let me just take this out and I'll show you that in a second. So basically when this becomes a skimmer, this little door here at the top opens, so that right there. And then everything kind of goes in there. So let me just show you the basket quickly. So this is basically all the leaves and stuff that I threw in the water before we started the test. So if you give it enough time, it will clean everything at the surface. I'm sure that if I would have left this running for another hour, even those 3 leaves that we had left would have ended up inside the robot. So next, let's move on to the same test, to the Beatbot. Okay, so it's time for our next test, skimming test with the Beatbot. I have about the same amount of leaves and flowers. I'm just gonna throw them in the pool. It did get a bit windier out, so there is that. So it wasn't as windy when I started doing the other test, but we'll see how well the Beatbot does. So the Beatbot does have these 2 side brushes, let's call them, that kind of push everything towards that middle suction hole. So we'll have to see if that actually makes a difference for collecting the leaves and stuff for the top of the pool. So we'll film this for about an hour, we'll do a time lapse, and I'll be back so we can see how it did. Alright, and I am back. It's been about 56 minutes since we had the Beatbot cleaning the surface of the water. With the other one we had 3 leaves. With this one we have one here, there is a little stick down there, and another one here. The Beatbot is going that way. So, funny enough, exactly 3... Oh, there is another stick somewhere around there. So 4 things still on the surface of the water. Now it's also pretty windy at this point, so maybe some more stuff kind of got into the pool. But basically, even though this one has the added side brushes there, I guess it didn't make that big of a difference, and if you'd let this run for another hour in here, I'm sure that it would be able to pick up everything from the surface. So let me show you the basket. So the same idea with the Beatbot, this little plastic flap opens when it becomes a skimmer, and these little side brushes here kind of push everything towards the middle. So our basket, it's got all the flowers, all the leaves that I threw in the pool earlier. So similar performance after an hour, even though this one has these 2 side brushes. So I kind of thought this would do better because of those side brushes, but fairly similar, performance. All right, and we're moving on to our waterline cleaning. So for this, I've put a bunch of mud just above the waterline. So a couple of tiles over the waterline. I have the Aiper in the water. It is set to the waterline cleaning mode. Hopefully it decides to start here and not somewhere else. But basically I'll wait around and see when it comes to this area. And as soon as it comes to this area, I will film so I can show you how it does. Alright, so that didn't take long because I've put it right there. So it seems to be getting to our dirty area. As you can see, it does go much higher than the actual water line. So it will be no problem picking up all that dirt from the water line. I'll get a bit closer. I don't want to fall in the pool with the phone. But you can basically see that it cleans the water line. So this is a good explanation of how the water line cleaning works. So those brushes basically scrub everything around there. And since it goes higher than the actual water line, it will clean everything very nicely. And it keeps going and going. So as you can see, there are a couple of places that are still with some black mud on, but everything else has been cleaned very good. So this is how the Aiper Scuba X1 Pro Max does the waterline cleaning. Next, I'm gonna do the same thing with the Beatbot. All right, and we are moving on to the Beatbot and the waterline cleaning. Once again, I've done the same mud at about the same distance from the waterline. Hopefully this starts right here, it doesn't start further away. But basically I'll wait till it starts cleaning the wall and the waterline, and I will start filming then. Okay, so it took quite a while. I think I've been here for like an hour, but it finally seems to have gotten to the muddy waterline. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't go as high as the Aiper, so I think my waterline is gonna stay muddy after this. Yeah, it's definitely not going as high as the other one. So I guess I'll have to manually clean the mud. Uh, we'll give it a second because this one doesn't have like a waterline only mode. It has a wall and waterline mode. It basically has to go down, then go back up, and it's a slower process if you just want that waterline cleaned. It's going back up again now. So it's only a tile and a half. I think it's actually lower than how I had it set. Oh, unfortunately, no. So yeah, the Beatbot doesn't go as high as the Aiper on the waterline. The Aiper does seem to go crazy high. So basically all the mud that I have there, it's gonna stay there. We'll give it another chance, but yeah, I'll probably have to put the Aiper back in to clean the pool because I don't want that mud to stay there. So there you have it. For waterline cleaning, the Aiper does better. For the bottom of the pool, the Aiper does better. And where the Beatbot does marginally better, well, depends how you look at it, could be the skimmer because it has those side brushes. But even that, I think if you give it enough time, you will get fairly similar results. So yeah, that's my waterline, which is unfortunate. Alright, so to quickly conclude this video, these two pool robots are extremely expensive, but yes, they do clean everything in your pool, and you will notice that your pool will be much cleaner after you have these running in your pool for a couple of days. Now, because of the price difference, because as I said at the beginning, the Beatbot is about 1,000 more expensive. Maybe there will be some sales later on, maybe you can get them with a smaller difference in price. But overall, I feel that the Aiper does offer much better value for its price because, well, it is 1,000 cheaper and it does everything the Beatbot does and many things much better as well. So if you're considering these two machines, I think the choice is quite easy. The Aiper Scuba X1 Pro Max here is the better one and the one that offers the best value out there. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll try to answer whatever questions you may have. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.